Lovely darts. Okay, so with a bit of luck, let me just double check, as I always have to do in these situations, whether in fact we are live yet. And with a bit of luck, it's not mucking us about, and we are. Do you know what I think we are? Yes, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. I can see Laurence Shahlaei's sexy face staring back at me from the.
You're a lucky man, Neil.
Hey, tell you what, mate. The other week, I thought to myself, "Here comes luck." When you were decked out in black, you came in that room, and I thought to myself, "Tell you what, I don't know about who's the next James Bond, who's the next milk tray man." Your guy right there. That is your guy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Tonight's a bit of a mixed bag. It's a bit of a, we tend to keep things arm wrestling specific most of the time. We cross over into strongman some of the time. It is rare, extremely rare, that we venture into the territory of kicking ass. But thanks to the exploits of our very own man in green, the Green Machine, DEVON LARRATT, who is over there in Dubai, and he's about, and what is it now, 48 hours away? Less, maybe?
Yeah, this time.
Yeah. Oh, 48 now, like 12.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very, very soon, he is going to back up the talk, we hope, and he's going to get in the ring and fight THOR BJÖRNSSON. So, tonight we want to find out, and we want to let you guys ask questions. We want to find out a little bit about the burning questions that everybody wants to know. And one man that's joined us tonight, and I'm going to introduce him first, will have more insight, real insight on that than pretty much anyone else. Zakaria BenBouchta is actually the coach of DEVON LARRATT. So this is the man who really does know what Devon's got up his sleeve. A lot of questions, a lot of talk online about, is Devon sandbagging? Has Devon got more that he hasn't shown? He's put very little footage out there of sparring. Zakaria is going to be able to get us into that, and he's going to be able to give us some insight on it. Also on the call, for those of you who are strongman fans, this guy needs no introduction anywhere in the world of strength. He is a multiple British national champion in strongman. He is the former Europe's strongest man and one of the best to ever do it from Great Britain. Please welcome Big LOZ, Laurence Shahlaei, in the mother fluffing house.
How are we doing, guys? It's good to be back on the show, Neil, as always.
Mate, I'll tell you what, it's an exciting one. Last, but by no means least, back in his native environment, sat underneath the unicorn pig. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my very own real talking Rob Vigeant Jr., WAL hammer holder, one of the best, if not the best, middleweight arm wrestler in the world. And he's going to try and back that up and prove it very, very soon as we head into Arm Wars reality check. And this man will take on Sasho Andreev of Bulgaria in a massive match. It's all happening, ladies and gentlemen. It is all happening. Daniel Uric, thanks for your super chat, mate. Support the sport. Thank you for supporting the channel, brother. Really appreciate it. So, Zakaria, I want to start with you, mate.
Yes.
I know everybody is going to be really interested, first of all, to understand your own background, because we've heard so much about the fact that DEVON LARRATT had 5 weeks to prepare. He got the call, he signed for the fight, and straight away he was given an opportunity by the TriStar gym. This is a gym, for those people who aren't familiar with fights, it's produced absolute champions throughout the years in UFC, guys like David Loazu, Rory McDonald, obviously George St. Pierre. Another name that's coming out of that is obviously Zakaria BenBouchta. You've been there for a long, long period of time, mate, haven't you? You've been fighting out of TriStar for quite a while. Can we get a bit of an update, a background on your own background?
Yeah, of course. Okay, so I started at TriStar in 1998. So I was 4 years old. Back then, Fires, the current owner of the gym, was a youngster. His brother was even a younger youngster. and they were training with George. So like we're going back quite a while now. So I joined TriStar back in the day. I guess I had like ADHD, and my parents were like, you got to do something because you're too much. So they put me in fighting. So I started doing karate. I worked my way up to just karate on its own, got my black belt in that. Then I dabbled in some taekwondo. I got pretty high in that, but it wasn't really my favorite type of sport personally, because I like punching as well. And as I was at that gym, started doing jiu-jitsu, started doing some Muay Thai, continued doing more Muay Thai, continued doing jiu-jitsu. As I got older, I decided to wrestle. George started to get really good at wrestling, and he wanted to perfect his wrestling. So he joined Team Canada to do the wrestling training with them, since their unit is in Montreal. So usually the Team Canada is their wrestling. So he would bring all the fighters in, wrestle with these amazing world-class wrestlers, because that's the best that you get to practice. And as I continued my career, started doing MMA fights, started doing Muay Thai fights, and then at a certain point in Montreal, MMA amateur league became illegal. So you weren't allowed to fight at all underground if you're an amateur MMA. Yeah, just in the province of Quebec. So yeah, just Quebec. Something happened. I have even no idea, but they made it illegal. And then I said, all right, now it's pretty hard to get a fight. What can I at least keep doing to at least keep fighting? So I started to do more boxing fights. They were easy. They were happening every month, every 2 months. It was very gradual. So just started boxing. I started in the heavyweight class. So I was weighing about 95 kilos. I was fighting guys roughly Devon's weight. That's usually how heavy they kind of go to. And then I kind of played in between the 91 kilos and the 91 plus. So I was just going back and forth between then. Kept boxing, and then decided to try out for nationals. So for nationals, you got to win a couple of fights, work your way up. And then in 2018, kept on boxing, was on Team Quebec, and made it all the way to the top, got second place in the 2018 nationals. And then after that, kind of just kept competing. And then 2 years ago, I took a break. Too much stuff was going on. I was trying to handle fighting and school and business. And, I was failing. I was, either I failed in the business, I failed in school, or I failed in a fight, which I would lose and I would get hurt. And, I was growing up. So I was growing up as a kid. So you learn from your mistakes. And that's the one thing that I really took away. And I said, I will never do that ever again. And that's pretty much where I'm at now. So I'm in school currently. I'm still doing a master's degree. So that's pretty much what's going on in the sports realm, trying to add more value to fighters, to athletes, especially on nutrition and exercise science. So that's what I'm doing my master's degree in. And then once that's done, I go straight, sign a pro contract, and keep on fighting.
No, obviously for a guy like yourself, who's a lifer in fight sport.
Yeah.
What was your opinion, honest opinion, when you get a knock from the guys at the gym and they say, look, we got a fella coming in. He's a professional arm wrestler. 5 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever the hell it was, when he got to TriStar to get ready for a fight. And he's going to be fighting THOR BJÖRNSSON, which, there's a lot of negativity, let's be honest, online from fighters. A lot of people think that this is killing the sport a little bit. It's turning into a bit of a circus. What was your sort of opinion of that? And were you sort of a bit dubious, a bit doubtful of it, or were you very supportive? Where did you stand?
No. So I'm going to answer this like two ways, because I think there's like two sides to that. Meeting Devon initially, I wasn't even told it was Devon. I just came into the gym, met a guy, shook his hand, and said, you're going to fight him today. I said, all right, sounds good. Cool. I'm here to help. No idea who he was. I only found out who he was after we finished punching each other.
Was that because of your height, Zakaria?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My height and my experience. So
just for everybody on the call who won't be familiar, how tall are you, mate?
I'm 6'6".
So the same height as Devon. Yeah.
Yeah, same height. I'm 6'6". I'm not as heavy. I'm only 100 kilos, but I'm 6'6". Yeah. So I didn't know who he was. I met him. I found out who he was right after we finished doing about 3-4 rounds together. And then Firas said, Zach, Devon, Zach. And he said, he's fighting Thor. It's like, oh, shit. Okay. When? Oh, in 4 weeks. It's like, oh, all right. That sounds great. So Firas in the beginning was taking care of him. A lot of the guys at the gym, they were the ones that were taking care of him. I had nothing to do with his training. I was just there as a training partner, as long as the other guys that were gym. So they were there to help Devin. Javad, Mustafa, Jack, James, who were all there just to really put Devin into the work. And then everyone that was at TriStar, all the professional fighters, all the other coaches were just giving Devin tips, but no one really was just like coaching him. It was like an all-around coach, with Firas doing the conditioning, which was the most important part, right? You take an arm wrestler that doesn't do conditioning, that's going to be the base that you're going to really work on as much as you can.
Yeah.
And then it was only a week, 10 days, 10 days, Firas was like, Devin, you should take Zach with you. And Devin's like, I would love to take him with me. So then Firas, it was like, go with Devin. Devin's like, Zach, I need you, come with me. And then we went. And then it's really just been the last, I'd say about 10 days, maybe 12 days that I've really been training with him one-on-one, working on a lot of the stuff that he maybe didn't get to work on that much because he didn't really have one person guiding him. So that's like where I met Devin. And then your other question, you're asking me, like, do I think about the sport, how it is with, you know, celebrities fighting and doing boxing and everything like that? I don't think it's bad. If you talk to any, because I've talked to pro athletes that are in the sports and they're higher up, they don't see it that way. If anything, it's bringing more attention to the sport. It's bringing more value to the sport. It's bringing, example, last 2 weeks ago, Jake Paul, even though he's a YouTuber versus Tyron Woodley, they brought so much to the fight, so much outsiders that aren't used to that sport, people that don't even know boxing because they just watch YouTube, they just watch them. They brought them to the sport to watch it. So if anything, it's really good, and it's actually nice to see them appreciate how hard it is. Yes. Like, it's, you know, they're not making fun of it. Yeah, look, he's training for 1.5 years. Clearly, he understands how hard it is and how much time you have to put into it. Devin, knowing that there's only 5 weeks, he left his wife at home and came straight to TriStar, moved in the dorms to really live it and just take it all in. So I don't find it's putting a bad name to the sport. I think if anything, it's just doing a lot of good to the sport and bringing more attention to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pick you up on one thing you said there. Obviously, I know a lot of guys that if you said to them, you got to leave your wife, you're going to go to a strange place and get punched in the face and kicked in the head, and they'd think, yeah, it's a good trade-off. English women for you, that, mate. It's gives you a bit of insight.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Liz isn't in earshot, is she, Loz, there?
She's over there nodding away.
Yeah.
Except Liz Shahlaei, who's a wonderful and caring human being. Lovely woman. Don't let her near me at next fight, Loz. If you tell me, I'll leave the car running. Now, just to bring Loz in for a moment there, we got Hermes Desperini with a super chat. Thanks for your super chat, mates. But Loz, I'm a huge sports fan, and over the past 6 months, I've fallen in love with your YouTube channel. You have a great character. Keep on, brother.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Now, Loz, I think you might have been, outside of Devin himself, you were the first person to get in touch with me when this fight was announced, mate.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell's happening?
That was the toned down version, diplomatic, even though it's quite late night version of what you said. Now, at that time, you thought this was a bit weird. Has your opinion evolved at all, mate?
I still think it's weird. Honestly, I do. It's been good being out. I'm obviously out in Dubai myself, obviously here for the Strongman show that's happening tomorrow. I'm doing the commentating for that. So we've got the boxers, the strongmen, the CrossFitters, everyone's here, kind of, you know, arm wrestlers, whoever it might be that's part of this event. It's quite cool having all this crossover from different sports. And I've been lucky enough to spend some time with Devin, had a chat with Thor, you know, I've spent time with Zach. So, you know, it's been a cool week, actually. We've had a great time. But you can see how serious Devin's taking this. You know, he's training hard for this. He's put his whole arm wrestling career on hold to take this opportunity. And it's funny because we all know what Devin's like. He's great at the mind games, but he's great at the mind games in arm wrestling where he knows he is a great arm wrestler. He can back up all the bullshit he talks about. He knows he can back that up. We're seeing a slightly different Devon out here, I think. You know, he's I mean, he's a great guy anyway, but there's none of the cockiness and arrogance or trying to get into the head of Thor. He's just soaking up the atmosphere. You can tell he's excited by the challenge as well. I think he's just one of those guys that needs something to kind of, he's not your normal character, you know, he's not someone that just wants to sit around at home doing nothing. He needs something to motivate him. And you can see that. And I was lucky to have a training session with the guys the other day, and he's putting the work in. He knows he's the heavy underdog for this. I think all the pressure is on Thor. Thor's coming in from this. He's the 32-year-old. He can actually extend his arm. He's been boxing for a year and a half now. This is all on the build up to fighting Eddie. And obviously with the bicep tear that Eddie had, that has been put on hold. And, you know, what a man for stepping in. I mean, anyone that has the balls to step into the ring with another man where you're going to get punched in the face, you know, and especially with 5 weeks notice, who the hell, you know, is there arm wrestlers out there that would take a match on that short notice? You know, you see a lot of fighters, they want a full training camp. They want 12, 16 weeks to prepare. He's not even a boxer and he's taking it on 5 weeks. That takes some guts.
Yeah, it's you make a good point, mate. I mean, I love the point you just made there about how many arm wrestlers wouldn't take a match on that notice. I know one who would, and he's sat right in the bottom corner of my screen now, because your match was off and then it was on again, Rob Vigeant. Now, you're a bit of a fight fan yourself, Rob, aren't you? You don't mind a bit of boxing, don't mind a bit of UFC. What's your opinions? We haven't heard a great deal from you over the period of time. You've been focused on other things. How do you see this fight with Devon and Thor?
How do I see it working out? Or how do I think of it as a whole?
Well, let's go both, actually, mate. Both angles. So your opinions.
Well, I'm curious if this fight's going to be a fight or is it going to be an exhibition kind of display of skills where there's a mutual respect? Are they really going in there trying to hand each other their heads, or are they going to play it smart where, you know, even 32's not young for the boxing game and you're talking 46. Are they going to go in there and really try to fuck each other up at this stage of the game, or is it going to be more of like an exhibition of skills, which it probably should be? I mean, going in there and trying to mangle each other, I don't know. I have mixed opinions about the YouTubers getting shots with guys like Mayweather. You know, I boxed as a kid and I have a great appreciation for the sport. And I have mixed emotions to see Jake Paul jumping and get a fight with Mayweather because he's got a YouTube following and a big mouth, just when there's other guys grinding in a gym for longer than he's been alive. And they never got out of their city golden gloves, but they're more accomplished. So that for me is a little bit of a problem as a fight fan and a person who's grounded in the sport and loves the sport. And, you know, how do I see it working out with Devon and Thor? I don't know. Devon's been keeping it a secret of what he can do. This is a game that takes a long time, and you have to have some attributes to be a good boxer. There's a level of elasticity and athleticism that some people just can never be trained, which is a lot of times you see the muscly, big, strong guys can't throw a powerful shot worth of shit because that elasticity and power is totally different. And there's a whole level of body movements and stuff that's some people can never learn it. And I think what I've seen of Thor is he's a big, powerful guy, but he also moves like a robot. So, I mean, I don't think he'd be too hard to decode if you're got a brain.
Interesting.
So it's going to be about, I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to come in and like blow the audience's hair back with sheer boxing ability, but in a year and a half, I don't think Thor's cut the curve so much as this dynamic boxer that it can't be decoded in a short amount of time.
Zakaria, just picking up on what Rob was saying there, have you had a really good look at Thor while you've been out there? I know that you guys were watching footage of his prior fights when you were over at TriStar. Have you seen Thor in the flesh doing anything over there? Have you managed to, or they, you know, allowing you to see, is it an open workout situation where you've seen him in the ring? And if so, what's your sort of professional assessment of where he's at?
No, they have us on 2 different training schedules. So like Thor trains in the morning and then we train in the evening. So we never kind of cross paths in the gym.
Yep.
Well, we cross paths everywhere else, but when it came to the training, no, it was really separated for that. Assessment on fighting, I completely agree with what Rob, right? I don't want to make that wrong. Yeah, I completely agree with what Rob said. Thor is a wide man. So even though he can do this and kind of block the face, the body is where you
teach Devin the liver shot. That's what I told him. Go hit the liver.
Yeah, the body is where I would go. I got to meet Thor. I got to talk to him. Like, I'm just talking boxing here. Super nice guy, super cool, but we're just talking boxing. Body, I would always go to the body. And I don't know. I personally don't know, because I haven't even been watching much. I'm not personally a person that's fighting. Even if I'm going to go in a fight, I don't really care so much about what the guy's doing. Like, that's not my thing. I don't go after to go look. I train for whatever I need to get ready for. I know where my weaknesses are. I fix those. I make sure my strengths are at their peak. And if ever I can make them better, and I go into the fight, because in a fight, anything can happen. The guy can be training one way. Next thing you know, game plan changes the night before, because he gets in the ring. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to do something else. So I train to be ready for almost everything, and you go about it. If I were to fight Thor, how I would depict him, I would be moving around, going to the body. And then when he starts coming lower to protect those shots, because they're going to get very freaking annoying, that's when you would go to the head. And I don't know if his sparring partners have hit him hard in the head either. Like, I don't know that, because me punching Thor in the head might not be that hard, but like Rob was saying, a snappy punch feels like it's 300 pounds.
Yes.
When you learn how to throw a proper punch, people that throw body shots, when you see them really nicely, or knockout punches, most of them are not like punch and push through. It's a nice pop. It's a really snappy pop.
Yeah.
Even a liver shot, even a solar plex shot, like, and those punches in the solar plexus, those punches in the liver, those punches just like under the rib, or even getting hit in the shoulder, you tire the person out very quickly. So mixing that in, like, that's where I would go. And
body shots are horrible, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And like Rob said, Thor is, I've watched Thor do like his strongman training.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I picked out from how he trains is he's very, I'd say, planned. Like, he's very precise. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this.
Regimented.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I were to assume, this is a full assumption, I would assume that his boxing is roughly going to be the same thing. He's going to be thinking a lot. And like, again, Rob, like, because he nailed it on the point. Even Thor has been training for 1.5 years. That's still not enough.
Do you think the fact that he trains like that is going to make him quite predictable as a fighter?
Yes, because fighting, even though there is, you got to know stuff, and you have to like have some prediction. That's why you see Canelo slipping 4 punches at a time. It's because most of his trainings, he'll throw combos and then add those 3-4 defensive moves, because typically, let's say you get hit with a right hand here, you would throw that hand back. So he's anticipating that punch. And that's why you see him slip it so perfectly, so timed, so well. It looked like it just kind of happened, like the Matrix, just got it. So with Thor, I feel like he's still there where he needs to think. He needs to think that I need a block and then punch. And I think that's what gives him that robotic type fighting.
Yes. So you're seeing the consideration behind each one of the movements, the individual disparate movements.
Exactly.
You're seeing the thought process.
Where Devin, because he didn't learn everything and he had such a short time frame to actually learn anything, Devin is not going to be thinking much. He's going to go off of what he remembers, and he's going to just throw. And like Rob was asking a question, like, is it going to be an exhibition fight? I don't think so. I think Thor is really going to try to hit him hard, and Devin is going to take the punch and be like, fuck it, I gotta fucking hit hard, because if not, I'm going to get hurt. And I think that's on that day where Devin will be in that zone. And that's why I think it can happen, because Devin doesn't need to think. He's not going to think. He's just going to swing.
Yeah, from what we've seen, and especially talking to Thor and stuff like that, Thor is thinking about Eddie Hall. That's in the back.
He's already looking past them.
Yeah, well, Thor, and all of this was about a grudge between those two guys.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really about them trying to become boxers. I know from Eddie's side of things, he doesn't care about being a boxer. He just wants to knock Thor out.
Yeah.
Thor has taken it a bit more seriously in terms of looks like he wants to do more boxing, but at the end of the day, he is building up to this fight with Eddie, and now he's got Thor in as like he's got Devon in as kind of a warm up for that. And anything other than him knocking out Devon is probably going to be a loss. If they get to the end of this and they're both standing, Eddie's going to be laughing at him. The kind of people online are going to be laughing at him. He needs to make this look convincing to keep building towards that train. So there's a lot of pressure on Thor. He's been talking, it's not like the way he is towards Eddie where there's that real hatred. These guys get on pretty well, but he sees it as a kind of roadblock that's leading up to the big event. And that could well work against him because he's still thinking of what he needs to do or just the sheer aggression. It kind of makes you lose that focus and control. And Zach's talking about boxing skills. When those two guys get in the ring, they're going to forget those boxing skills.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to who's the fittest and who can maybe get a lucky punch. If there's always that, but
so I don't hold that thought, Loz. We're going to knock over a couple of super chats real quick. The first of which is to you, DM. Thanks for your super chat, mates. But Loz, same as previous super chat. Thanks for a great channel and congratulations on 100k subs. If you're not already subscribed to Loz's channel, get over there because I'll tell you what, fantastic stuff. If you're into your strongman, nobody covers it better than this man. Got the experience, got the knowledge, got the Liz.
I do have the Liz. That's the most important thing.
Don't stop. Underrated channel and all the best, guys. Thanks for that, mate. Much appreciated. Dave with the super chat. It's going to be an epic fight. May the best win. Thanks, mate. Much appreciate your support of the channel there. We got Jimmy Crickets, I believe one of your stronghold. I remember him from the night we were on your live, mate. So he's put, will 16 months of training be enough to remain disciplined in the skill of boxing? As a question. Or will the complete lack of training of Devon erase that training? I think this is going to be a tough man fight, and that suits Devon. Yeah, hold that thought, because we're going to come on to that in a moment as well.
I think this one is going to be an interesting one, because this is Devon's first proper, Thor's first proper fight. He's gone in against two boxers, but that was just exhibitions. Whereas now you've got a guy that's been training 4 or 5 weeks that isn't a skilled boxer, who's just going to scrap. This could be, completely different.
So SG Records, thanks for your super chat, mate. He's come in and said, Eddie said he'd destroy RVJ after he's done with Thor. Well, I'll tell you what, in a couple of weeks' time at Arm Wars Reality Check, I'm sure we'll have footage of RVJ and Eddie talking about that one, because they're both.
He's got to get his wing fixed first before he worries about anybody. He can't even fly right now.
But I really, really look forward to Eddie and RVJ in person in a couple of weeks' time. That should be fantastic. So just getting back to what we were saying earlier, and I want to come back to Zakaria initially. Loz made a good point there about the fact that, the way that Thor's been training, just on the back of what you said about that regimented, cyclical approach that he's taken to his training. If he is looking past Devon, it's quite a banana skin, this, isn't it? Because this is actually the first fight, let's be honest, that he's taken where the guy is really licensed to leather him, is licensed to kill. He can go in there and throw shots. Also, he's been fighting skilled boxers, professional fighters, guys with a track record, a history, a background, and a degree of pedigree in the sport of boxing. So this is almost the worst fight he could take in some ways, isn't it? Because if he's that kind of guy and it turns into a fling fest and he gets hit for the first time, that could be a very scary proposition. Do you think that's the biggest ace card in this whole scenario? And from your sort of experience of general fight sports, have you seen that manifest itself before, Zakaria?
Just like that type of fight with two different people?
Yeah, where a guy's got less experience and come in and upset the apple cart.
Yeah, of course. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. It's like I said, you can come in with a game plan, but in fighting you have to be ready for a complete switch. Like you have to be ready for it. And that's why I made the comment saying, even though me and Devon together, that's what we were trying, especially for these last couple of days together, I'd say about a week and a bit, trying to do a game plan to make it work as best as possible for him. At the end of the day, Devon's fight or flight instinct is going to come in on fight day. Once you step into that ring, once you get the first punch, once you throw the first punch, and then everything it's on auto. There's no memory, especially for Devon. He didn't have enough time to really have a memory of everything, where and even LOZ said it. He's like, it's going to go out the window, and then he's just going to remember what he does, and he's going to go for it. And then that's going to be my job too, for every round, to really get his attention and talk to him, right? Because Thor initially said, Devon, I'm going to knock you out first round. Like, I'm going to knock you out in the first round. And then Devon, with his mind games, he's like, well, what if you don't? You know, what if I get past the first round? Like, is that a loss for you? Right? And I don't know much about like how Thor thinks and everything, but I feel like Thor's game plan is, if I don't finish him in the first round, maybe that's psychologically is going to affect him, because he's like, how did I not finish him in the first round? Am I not doing good? And then I think that extra thinking and that stress might give Devon a chance. Like, I don't know. It might, you never know. Devon comes in, he's like, oh, now Thor is nervous, or Thor might go, now I just have to start throwing bombs. Right. But then when you throw a bomb, somebody else can throw a bomb too. And that's usually where you see guys just slanging and banging and one guy gets knocked out.
You see that even with conditioned fighters that are high-end professionals that have a lot of pressure on them for being knockout artists and finishing fights. I mean, a lot of guys that have that reputation, if they start getting carried past round 1, 2, 3, they start getting geeked out and they change their game plan, because it rocks them that they're like, this should have been over by now. And I think once you start thinking along those lines, like you said, you start losing the objective at hand.
Yep, exactly. Once you get angry, or once you don't, like, if you're thinking too much and you start getting angry, that's where you're losing it. That's where you can't fight like that. And I've fucked up. I've fought angry before, damn it, shit. Like, you lose everything. You got to be
not necessarily anger at your opponent. It's anger at you.
Oh,
if you feel it slipping away, you can't help but chase the fight, can you? You can't help it. You just, somebody cracks you, you want to get that shot back.
Exactly. And it happens all the time.
I've done that. I mean, in my limited experience of fights, I did that. I'd get hit and I'd be like, motherfucker. And and your corner would be like, whoa, get your head on, dude. Calm down. And you can't. You want to level it.
But that comes with the experience. So then you'll get that hit, and then in the fight, you're thinking, but you're not thinking. You're like, okay, I got hit. That's not going to happen again. So I'm going to block this time, or I'm going to defend. I'm going to be more aware of it, and I'm going to get him back. But it's going to happen when it's going to happen. You can't go for it, because that's where usually you start just throwing to throw, and you start falling, and you start doing improper stuff that just puts you more in danger than you actually, hitting the guy. So
let's talk about cardio as well, Zakaria, because I love the fact that straight away you talked about when he went to try. And also, let's just take a step back first, because everybody talked about Devon's background in fighting. The fact that he was, versed in fighting, in combat sports, not boxing, but in combat sports, particularly ground-based fighting. Now, you went straight to when he got to TriStar, we wanted to just get his cardio there, because anybody who's been in a fight, that's you cannot afford to get tired, or you're in trouble. Now, the other point, or the other thing that has always been a factor throughout Devon's prior career, I'm talking not the recent career where he's had issues with COVID and he's got to the heaviest weight he's ever got to. prior to that, he was known, sort of legendary status within arm wrestling, as the guy with incredible endurance. And when you looked into that, he was the guy that had, you know, with his military background, he'd sling a backpack on his back and go run up the woods for Christ knows how long, when he was a relatively big man, you know, 225 pounds or so.
Yeah.
Thor, on the other hand, has spent the vast majority of his career training for that top end red line power.
Yeah.
Do you think that could, because when you get cracked in a fight, it's very, very different from moving around the ring, and, you know, you get hit, you're tiring at a very different rate.
Yep.
That is something that fascinates me about this fight. If Devon can land a shot and does work the body, are we gonna see something from Thor, who you'd think if anybody had been in a bad environment outside of a sumo wrestler to be able to do something like boxing, which is incredibly exhausting.
Yeah.
You'd think a strongman, a massive strongman, would be low down that list. Was that part of the plan at TriStar? Were they seeing that?
Yeah. Yeah, they were, because initially when you come in, like you just said, you're coming in to do 3 rounds. Devon told me after our second sparring that he was doing six rounds of 3 minutes. So 18 minutes of fighting, 24 minutes kind of total. It's not the same thing as Devon said he even used to do Ironmans like back in the day, or triathlons. Like, it's not the same thing whatsoever. Arm wrestling, I'm not an expert in it, so you two will probably tell me. Matches last, what, 30 seconds? Sometimes
a heartbeat, a long match.
Sometimes a heartbeat, okay. But the longest it'll ever last is like less than 10 seconds, right?
A long match is 10 to 20 seconds. Yeah, you get the freak occurrences, but you know, you've been in a 20-second, 30-second match. It's like, holy, the place is on its feet. You know, it's rare.
So Devon was been doing that for what he told me for a couple of years and not doing anything else, like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter who you are, you stop doing any type of cardio, especially interval cardio. Like, we're talking about sprints, we're talking about interval training. A boxing fight, even though it's categorized as an aerobic effort due to the length and time, there's anaerobic sprints intervals inside of it. So we're talking about 10 to 12 seconds of sprints, whether it be you punching for 10 seconds because you're blitzing the guy, or 10 to 12 seconds of you going on defense and blocking shots and moving and having to breathe at the same time. It's just intervals, and you're repeating that for 3 minutes. You get a minute break and you got to do that again. Devon has never done that ever, no matter what he was doing. So to come in to do the conditioning, that's the primary thing we want to focus on. And yes, 5 weeks, it's short, but 5 weeks, we can still get something out of it. We can still get him customized to some of it, get him just, you know, to feel it. But like also what you just said, in a fight, it's completely different. On fight day, most fighters, so not experienced at all, Thor and Devon, they're both not experienced in this aspect. You step in the ring, right away, you lose 40 to 50% of your cardio.
Mm-hmm.
You're stressed. You're nervous. You're staring the guy in the face that's going to knock you out. You know what I mean? Like, your heart, exactly. Me personally,
and if you get cracked, it's hard not to panic. It's not
hard. 100%. And that is the experience. You being able to get cracked and then keep going. So we're talking about high class fighters, even some Olympic boxers that have 200-300 fight experience. Like, that's where you need to be at. So for these two guys, whoever gets hit hard, the cardio is just going to go right down.
It fascinates me, the relationship between how much of that is, you know, hardwired into you mentally, that, oh shit, I got hit, I got hurt, and you automatically go into that panic mode a little bit, and that ebbs your cardio big time. Because if there's anything in that, if there's any truth in that, you would think that Devon is relatively well prepared, because he's been in very, very sinister, difficult situations in the past. I mean, he's been in helicopters when the thing's been shot up, and he's been hit by shrapnel and literally shot. So I've never been shot, but I can imagine it's frigging terrifying. So if, you know, having to perform and to keep a degree of mental focus under serious pressure, you would think that he's got a head start, at least in the feeling that that's going to create. And I'm fascinated to see how that manifests itself.
Me too.
I
agree. Me too. I'm excited too, because it's like you said, that adrenal dump and you getting injured like that. Devon is used to that. I don't know if Thor is. I have no idea.
No.
I don't know. And that's stuff that we don't know. Like, no one, you know, even if you ask him, he's not going to tell you. That's his coaches, that's his team. They know if Thor got hit hard. They know whatever happened to him. No one will know. So you only know on fight day. You'll know if he gets hit with a nice one, how does he react? That's what you know.
Let's talk about natural athleticism here. And I want to bring LOZ into this as well from the Thor aspect, but because it obviously massive familiarity with Thor, competed against him many times, know him personally very well, trained with him. Now, from Devon's perspective, initially, Zakaria, when he got into TriStar and you looked at what he was capable of doing from where he was then to where he's now, how good is he? How good is his cardio now? Are you impressed with it? Is it going to be an issue, do you think, on the night for him? Where's he at?
I think he's going to be challenged. I think, yeah, I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I think it's going to be challenged because it's very still short on like a time frame, but big difference. Big difference from day one sparring with him to us sparring here in Dubai about 4 days ago.
Yep.
Big difference. He was able to finish the whole round not tired.
Can I touch on that for a second?
Sure.
Yeah.
So on the other side of that too, on the cardio side, people think cardio because someone runs Ironmans or does marathons, you know, like Zach was saying, it is a totally different cardio because when I was in high school, we'd have kids that were cross-country champions and you try to get them to do a tag sprint, hit the bag for a minute, hard, straight. None of them could do it. That what it does to your lungs of hitting with intent. And that's the other thing too. When you're training, are you hitting with intent or are you just, you know, hitting points on the bag? When you get into the ring and you're hitting with intent, your exertion is so much more than what you used to be able to do for 3 minutes. What you're putting out there on fight night might kill you in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's a different cardio. It really is.
Massive.
Yeah. And like he said, that's the experience. So experienced fighters know how to handle their tank. They're not just going to drain it in the first round. They know how to handle that throughout the fight. And then they know when to give more here and give less here, right? Both of them, even if Thor has a year and a half, I don't think he knows that yet.
I think in all sports, we have specific type of conditioning. You know, you can cross over into different sports and you'll do things in strongman that the fittest guy will struggle with just because they're not used to rolling a log up their chest and feeling that pressure pressing down on their lungs time and time again, you know, and then you get a strongman try and do a marathon and it'll kill us. You know,
well, you make a good point, Loz, because they've rolled that into like CrossFit. If you look at some of the CrossFit stuff, it emulates a lot of the, you know, loading race in strongman. It's immoral.
I do think if you're a good athlete in any sport, you can get fit for another sport. You need that time training, that conditioning yourself. If you're a good athlete, you can do, but the skill side of things takes a long time to master. And, you know, I think 5 weeks, all Devon could really do is learn some basic skills and get as fit as he possibly can. I think what you mentioned earlier about Thor being, you know, coming from strongman. I think Thor's had more time to get his fitness up specifically for boxing. He's had a year and a half training. He's gone down over 50 kilos he's dropped. I know from myself, if I drop 10 kilos, I feel way fitter. I mean, I did a session with Zach the other day that 2 months ago, I couldn't have done it, you know, because I was training specifically for strongman. There's no way I would have got through it. It was tough, but I got through it. And I know if I did it again in a week's time, I could be better at it and better at it and better. It's just your body. If you're a good athlete, you do know how to work hard, and then the body will follow. So I think actually Thor has the advantage when it comes to specific boxing conditioning right now.
Well, that's actually made me feel better, Loz. Just you telling me that you've done a bit of work with Zach this week, because, you know, if you're You're going to dive off a cliff with a pocket knife, fight a great white shark to deliver the chocolates to the woman on the yacht. You need to be able to do that, you know what I mean?
You're not going to let me off with that one, are you?
No, mate. You are the milk tray man going forward. Don't ever come down in full black kit like that again. And looking that confident as well with a spotlight on you. Anybody who does that, mate, you know, I just see an all because they really love milk tray. You notice they have no idea what I'm talking about now because they don't
have a clue, do they?
Not a clue. Sorry, guys. Sorry for everybody in the chat. Bit of an in-joke there, but I couldn't resist ripping the piss out of LOZ a little bit there. It's going to happen. So let's talk about THOR BJÖRNSSON as an athlete, okay? Because a lot of people may come in, take a snapshot view. Oh, the mountain. He's just this gigantic, monstrous individual who's chaotically strong. But he had a background as a basketballer prior to strongman. How much of a natural athlete is THOR BJÖRNSSON?
He is a great athlete. Most guys that are high level they have that ability to do a lot of sports. You look at Eddie and Thor, I always compare to each other. They're two very similar guys. And I think sometimes that's why they clash. You know, Eddie trained to pull that 500 kilo deadlift. He got his body weight up to about 190 kilos. But Eddie was a great swimmer. You know, Brian Shaw was a great basketball player. Thor was a great basketball player. Guys like myself and Terry Hollins played rugby to a high level, did athletics. You know, a lot of us have done other sports to a reasonably high level. You just adapt the way you train. Now, what's special about Thor is his dedication and his commitment to something. If he sets his sights on a goal, he works damn hard. He gets the right coaches around him, the nutritionists. They tell him what to do. He goes and does it. Eddie's exactly the same. You know, he's another guy that if he's got a goal, he will do absolutely everything he needs to reach that goal. And that's what I admire about athletes like that. You know, they put the work in and they know that they will. I mean, they're so confident in themselves. They know if they put the work in and they don't skip a beat. They don't have a day off. You know, they're 100% focused on these goals, doing everything they can. They surprise people. You know, we can all sit here. It's easy for us to sit behind a computer and, you know, say they should do this, they should do that. But they're putting the work in. When they get in that ring, as Zach said, anything can happen. You know, we see it in heavyweight boxing all the time. These are big, strong, both of them are big, strong guys. You know, even though Thor's lost, 60 kilos nearly, he's still a huge, huge man. You know, we know Devon's a big, strong guy. One punch from those guys could finish it.
Yeah, you've fallen straight into that one, mate. I was literally just coming to that point. I wanted to pick up next with Zakaria. Obviously, the other big thing that's been all over social media has been, oh, Devon can't straighten his arms. Devon can't throw a punch. What are we dealing with here? Obviously, you've been in there with him. You know what he's capable of. You know the shots he throws. Is it possible that we are going to see Devon Larratt potentially knock out Thor? Do you think that is on the cards? It is possible. It's achievable.
I think in a fight, anything's possible. There's no, but there's, I would never say no or yes. It's anything's possible. Like I said, LOZ said it, Rob said it, anything can happen in a fight. Yes, I even put in my YouTube channel, me filming Devon behind the scenes of like him not being able to do this. Mm-hmm. And yeah, talk about boxing. Yes, it is an issue, but when you take any athlete, they need to be trained, specifically. So Devon is actually really good at a couple of things. So when you look at boxing, Devon can actually put his elbows together under his body so he can protect his body. Devon can actually put his hands here. Devon is really good at this motion right here because that's what he does all the time. Yeah. So he's very good at parrying punches. Mm-hmm. He can parry a punch. He's used to this. So we take what Devon is really good at that's in arm wrestling and we apply it to boxing because there's stuff that he can do. And then we take his limitations and we adapt it so that he's able to still do what he has to do so that he can still throw properly. And that's what I've been trying to do with him for the last 10 days. And that's what, whenever we sparred back in the day, I was like, look, dude, I know you can't do this. So how about you try it this way? How about you try it that way? And then we see what works and what doesn't. And what does work, we stick to it and we drill it. Because the best thing Devon had for that 5 weeks is accumulate a lot of volume that's not going to fatigue you as much since you're doing a shit ton of cardio.
Yep.
Right. So that's kind of where we went. And then especially being here, why would we ever go crazy hard a week before the fight? Right. We had those 2 days where LOZ joined us for the strength and conditioning session. We had Devon's sparring session. Those were his last 2 really hard days. And the rest is just accumulate volume. So practice them. Think about it. That's one big thing. I'm sure you guys do it in arm wrestling. I'm sure you're doing it in strongman. Sitting down, you finish a training session, closing your eyes, or even opening your eyes, just repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. You're essentially practicing that movement to really get the brain to do it without really doing anything stimulating.
Yeah.
But you're getting those neurons to fire. And that's something that Devon, like we're trying to do. We're trying to do that. We're trying to go in the water and have him do something that's really low intensity as well. Because up until the fight, we want him to do as much as he can without making him tired. And he's loving it and he's feeling good. He finally slept really well. So everything is, he's feeling a lot better, and he's noticing, he's starting to understand blocking combos and parrying and offense and defense and how you have to kind of play back and forth. So that's kind of what's going on.
It's we're going to knock over a couple of super chats real quick, and then we're going to come back to that. So Cooper Maxwell, thanks for your super chat, mate. Much appreciated. I love you, mate. He's picking it up. He's put, just got my RVJ Arm Wars shirt, and it's badass. Hey, what about that, Rob? You see?
Nice.
Buy you one and support the man. RVJ will make the West great again. Hey? Support flying in. Cooper, thanks for your super chat, mate. I'm glad you like the shirt. That money goes to Rob. So, yeah, that's excellent stuff. And this is arguably my favourite super chat possibly ever received here on Supernatural Strength. And I'm going to say it really close to the mic. This is from Mr. Eric McT. Eric McT, thank you for your super chat. Much appreciated. And I quote, Neil, you big dick bastard. Yes, can you see that? Sorry. Okay. Secretary is great. Shh, Mrs. is in the other room. Best arm wrestling show on YouTube. But Brzezinski is coming on strong. Yeah, Brzezinski's got a YouTube channel now. I haven't actually checked out much of his stuff, but I will certainly do so. And if you haven't subscribed to John Brzezinski's channel or Rob Vigeant Jr.'s channel, get over there and get sub. Links in the description for Rob Vigeant Jr., as is the link for his shirt. So, yeah, Eric, legendary, checks in the post. Now then, while we're focusing on fights, it's fair to say that Devon has absolutely embraced this process. He's really flung himself in there. And a couple of weeks ago, I had Eddie Hall on the show with Devon. And he said, look, after this, if you beat Thor, maybe we can fight. What I wanted to sort of pick apart, Zakaria, is that is Devon behind the scenes starting to really get himself back into the fight world? Is he enjoying what he's doing? Do you think this is a one and done, or do you think you might see more of the same from him?
No, Devon, I don't know if he wants to fight again, because he goes, he didn't say no or yes, but he wants to not stop boxing.
Okay.
He wants to keep on boxing. He said it's an eye opener for him. It's something that's different, and he even wants to come and try some jiu-jitsu. He wants to do a little bit of wrestling, some MMA stuff. He wants to come back to TriStar after the fight, do some arm wrestling, because I know in the arm wrestling world, there's he wants this certain match in March.
Yeah,
yeah, so I know he wants that match, so he wants to put everything he has in that, but he said that he wants to work on boxing still. He still wants to do some martial arts. So I don't think it's one and done for him. I don't know if he's ever going to fight again, but he's definitely not going to stop boxing and training, conditioning, and adding all that in. That's for sure.
Tremendous. And just as we say that, we're joined by Another man who's got a bit of a fight background. This is a fella who tried his hand at MMA back in the day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the chat from Canada, Mr. Ryan Espey, multiple Canadian national and multiple world super heavyweight champion, the Manitoba Mastiff. Welcome to the show, Ryan Espey. How are you doing, mate?
Good, thank you, sir. Gentlemen, sorry I'm late, but
now,
happy to be here.
Have you managed to check out any of this, mate, while you've been out?
I was sitting at a train waiting for it to pass, and I was tuning into the show. You guys are talking mostly so far about Devon and Half-Thor.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating insight from Zakaria. Obviously, one of the things he just talked about there was that Devon will be keen to stay involved in fight sports to some extent. And I've got to ask, I know time was short, mate, and I know that it was boxing, but did he get on the mats and roll with anybody while he was there as well? Because he's better on the ground than he likes to. How did anything go down at TriStar? Did he have a chance to do that at all?
No. Just he put all his eggs in one basket.
Sure.
Boxing. That's it. Nothing else.
I figured that would be the case, but I had to ask. I wanted to know whether he'd done anything there. But yeah, very, very interesting that he's thrown himself in as hard as he has. And I know he's quoted as saying that he's understanding the complexity behind the sport of boxing far more than he ever had previously. And that's got to be a good thing. It's always nice to progress yourself in that respect. Now, I want to just pick up on Thor. You guys studied Thor a lot while you were at the TriStar gym, just looking at Devon's opponent. How do you break Thor down outside of the sort of regimented approach that you spoke about earlier and so on? Just his natural movement, his actual boxing ability. Where do you put Thor? Do you think that he's done very well in the time he's had in there? Obviously, we're talking about, what is it now, 18 months to 2 years?
I believe so, yeah, roughly then, yeah.
How do you think he's doing for a man who's been pursuing the sport as seriously as he has for that long?
Good. I think he's been doing good. A year and a half into it, like I said, it's great. He's learning a lot. He's starting to understand. And even he said it himself when we were here at the press conference. He's been where Devon's been. Like, he knows what 5 weeks of training is. Like, he knows what getting punched is. So he goes, I've been where you're at. I understand. And where Thor has come, along with losing all that weight, which is extremely helpful. His technique, I've actually haven't watched much, to be honest with you. I saw his fight with Ward.
Okay, yeah.
Like I saw that because I know Ward. So I watched that fight. And then after that, I don't really watch much. So I kind of just got to see what I have here and a little bit of footage. But speaking to his coach and everything, I think he's right on track. Like, he's where he's supposed to be, where he's at right now. Do I think that he can fight the heavyweight category, like, top 10? No, I don't think so whatsoever at all. But if he wants to, because he said he's really into it, but I think he understands, but I don't think he really understands fully of like how different that jump is.
The levels.
Yeah. If I'm giving you top 10. Like, I'm just saying the top 10 right now.
Sure. Yeah, it's like anything else.
I don't know. So I don't, and even he's I think besides Tyson Fury, he would probably be one of the heaviest guys, roughly.
Yeah, I would think so.
But no, you're not even close to being
top 10 sounds absolutely ludicrous. There are
exactly.
guys that are breaking into amateur status that they've been fighting for 5-10 years, and they're amazing, and it's such a competitive game. It's even top 10 on like top 1,000. It's like crazy.
Yeah, that's I think he needs to realize that if he's serious about this, and I know he wants to fight Eddie. Like, I was actually really looking forward to that fight, because there's just two guys that friggin' hate each other and want to smash each other in the face. Like, that's very interesting. But he actually is talking to him here. He really sounds like he wants to keep boxing, but I don't know. I don't know about that right now. Like that's it's a long fetch, very, very long fetch. Because there's amateurs, like Rob said, amateurs that are heavyweight. That would
You have to admire the balls of it and the kind of naivety as well. Because you guys see this in arm wrestling all the time. Now, I'm a big, strong guy and I love arm wrestling, but I would get my ass kicked by a tiny little 70-kilo guy that, you know, knows what they're doing. Whereas you come in and compete against me at strongman, I'll kick your asses. But it's so different. And I think it's easy for two guys to have a duel against each other. And that's where this all started from. Eddie and Thor wanted to have a duel. I think somewhere in their heads, they suddenly think they're pro boxers. And they're really not. You know, I know both these guys have got a lot of respect for what they've done in strongman, but they are miles away from being, you know, high-level pro boxers. And I think we need to remember that. These are two guys that are having a duel. It's going to be entertaining. They're going to train damn hard for this, as you'd expect. But I think the talk of becoming pro fighters and, you know, top 10 and stuff like that, let's not even go there right now.
Yeah, especially in the reality with that game is boxing is like gymnastics. If you don't already have somewhat of a career by your early 20s, you're in a big uphill battle.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, for Devon, thankfully, I don't think he's in any way interested in becoming a pro boxer. I think he might take a few fights like this against, you know, notable opponents who aren't boxers. That might work for him if the money's right and so on, and from a notoriety perspective. But yeah, from what you were saying there, if Thor was pursuing that, wow. I don't even think Eddie is. I don't think Eddie's got any interest in being a boxer. I think he just wants to crack Thor, and that's it. You know, if he could punch Thor in the face, I think he'd be a happy man. So we got a super chat just come in from Jeremy Mayer, and this is for Zach. So he's put, Zach, I have 10 years boxing experience. The sparring looked like catch counter sparring. Was that catch counter sparring, i.e., not using head movement?
Can you say that again? My whole everything froze. Everything froze.
No problem, mate. So this is from Jeremy Mayer. Thanks for your super chat, mate. And he's put, Zach, I have 10 years boxing experience. The sparring that you were doing with Devon looked like catch counter sparring. Was it catch counter sparring, i.e., not using head movement?
No, it wasn't.
It was just that Devon did not use head movement.
Exactly. And the footage that was posted and the footage, well, not even footage, if you were there, you would see me punch him and go, what the fuck? Move your head. Parry. Step to the side.
You know, like him a lot.
Yeah, you like a lot of the footage that came out, and even on my channel, I don't have a big channel. I'm getting like people shitting on me, and they're like, "Fuck, you're not helping him. He's not moving. Do this, do that." I'm like, "You guys are not fucking experts. Like, stop." I'm doing a lot, and I'm trying to make the best of this situation. And I gotta hit Devon. Like, he's gonna get hit by a very big guy. I have to hit him. And if you look at that sparring, I try to fight like Thor. So I put my hands higher because Thor hands are going to be higher. My body was more open. So I was sparring like I'm 6'9", but I'm not. I was
a lot of straight rights, only straight rights.
Yeah. So like I straight lefts because Thor's southpaw. So like I'm walking down, and one of the parts people get shout on me is because I slipped him and I hit him right in the head right away, straight. And they're like, well, Thor won't do that. I'm like, okay, guys, it doesn't. I need to hit Devon, and I need to try to hit him hard, and I need to move, and I got to impose myself like if I'm Thor. So the footage, you don't see the parts where I talk to him in the sparring, like 30 seconds. I'm like, Devon, fix this. Like now I'm going to throw the same punch. Do it again. Because it's the best time to do it now. You just got smacked in the face. Let me do it again and move your head. Get it going. So no, it wasn't catch sparring. We were really sparring. And then again, there's no other coach here. It's just me. So I'm sparring you and coaching you same time. It's difficult. Yeah. So that's kind of how it had to be.
And for anybody watching the show or in the chat right now, obviously the proof of the pudding's in the eating. I spoke to Devon. I've spoken to Devon regularly. I spoke to Devon yesterday. And Devon was absolutely lavish in praise on Zakaria. He is very happy with what Zakaria is doing, with the way that he's training him. He couldn't pour enough positivity and praise on the lad. He literally never shut up about you, Zakaria. He said, "Oh, he's great. He's working me so hard in these." He was talking about the approach, the mental side of things. Your instruction was spot on, and the way that you articulate it was spot on. He was really, really happy with it. So, any Devon fans out there that think that he's been given a rough ride, he certainly doesn't feel that that's the case. He's over the moon with how he's being trained. He really is. So let's bring in the mighty Manitoba Mastiff. Mate, have you put anything on Devon Larratt on Steak Kings? Have you been over there and backed a fellow Canadian, brother?
And I saw that it was a survival steak. I thought maybe I will put a little bit of money on Devon, because I would be betting on the toughness of Devon Larratt. I would not be betting on the boxing skill of either fighter, because I think Devon is going to get hit a lot. Do I think he can survive the 3 rounds? Yes.
6, mate. It's 6 rounds.
I know that, but the stake is for him to survive.
Okay, they've got him staked for surviving 3. So obviously he must rate his chances high then.
Well, how much influence does Devon actually have on the staking?
I don't know. I'll message Lyle after this and ask.
So I don't know. I mean, when I saw that it was a survival stake, that's a little different. That's a little different. I do think that Hafthor has come a long way since he started his boxing career, if you want to call it that. But he does have some snap on his punches, but he also has his chin up a lot. So I don't know. If Devon can connect with something, we'll find out. We'll find out in a hurry. But I think it's going to come down to how tough Devon is, not necessarily, because Devon, I'm curious, what is the opinion of, can Devon fully extend when he's throwing a jab? Or does his arm kind of shut down before he gets all the way out there?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But
it does not.
It doesn't shut down. It just doesn't extend. So
it just doesn't extend.
So we got to work around that. So you got to find a way how to get, you could still hit, you just got to figure out another way to get in.
Right. Interesting.
Do you think that the way that the public are perceiving this is like an accurate reflection, Zakaria, in that at the moment, if you read a lot of the comments online, I'm not talking about, you see a comment on there and it says, Devon's going to fuck him up. And then you read who the comments from and it's Devon's mum. I'm talking about the unbiased person who's just coming in and commenting on this, or people from outside the realms of arm wrestling, or strongman, so boxers and things like that. And they're saying, look, Thor's got an enormous advantage. I mean, when Eddie Hall was on here, he said, oh my God, Thor's got an enormous advantage. He's like a heavy, heavy, heavy favourite. So the betting seems to be that it's sort of 80% Thor. Do you think that's an accurate reflection? From what you've seen, based on what you know of Devon and based on what you've seen, do you think Thor is a very heavy favourite? Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. 100%. Like, write what you just said on paper and then read it. It's exactly that. And the comments, I don't really look at them because they're all shit. It's like, it's either Zach, you suck, Devon's gonna die, or Devon's gonna last, Devon's a warrior. So there's never like a person that comments on any video, honestly, just like with an unbiased opinion. The most unbiased opinion is you guys here and the strong men that are here that I met, LOZ, getting to speak to both people, like people that actually know both of them, understand what it is, but they're able to give an honest answer on both sides, and they get that. But comments, absolutely not. That no way. No one has given an actual like unbiased answer besides the people on the panel here and the people that are actually here, even some of the coaches that are here training the CrossFit athletes or everything. So people that are experienced and understand the fight game, those are the individuals that are giving a real unbiased opinion, because that's what you usually do. That's how you talk. You have to take the attributes on people and say it. So yes, 80 to 20 is a very accurate number, and people are playing on that 20%. And what Ryan said, yeah, Thor keeps his chin up a lot. So maybe that's the 20% that we might utilize. You don't know. that might be what's going to get Devon to throw a nice overhand, and it works. But
you know, I think Devon's got something that gives him an extra 10%, and that's Jodie.
yeah,
She is brilliant, and she's got some amazing one-liners that I think could actually get into Thor's head. We had breakfast with her the other day, and I've watched her at the arm wrestling events, and she's hilarious. And I think it could actually affect Thor having someone like that in his corner. You know,
no. Once they're eating punches, he's not going to hear anyone's voice. No, you don't hear anything.
The voice of reason there, RBJ comes flying in. That was the hey, Rob, don't mess with the fantasy, mate. We know about the reality. Come on.
Oh, sorry. I'll go back to drinking my coffee.
Team Devon, son. Team Devon. No, joking aside, though, it's interesting talking to. Devon's whole approach to this and the fact that he's been selling in. I think there was a headline tonight in might have been the Mirror online, and it said something like Larratt admits in post-fight presser that he is terrible. This woman said to him, "Yeah, where's your level at?" And he said, "Oh, I'm terrible." You know. Now he's sort of been selling that angle throughout, and everybody thinks it's just mind games. But when you speak to Devon on the phone, it isn't. That's his genuine assessment. And Zakaria will be living that every day. He's like he's very matter of fact, and he's very realistic, and he's extraordinarily honest in his usual endearing fashion.
That's the best. Like that's great. Devon doesn't have an expectation.
No,
he's just like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do whatever you told me to do, the best that I can, and I'm gonna do it. And whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
So that's like just having that in your head and knowing, hey, I might get fucking knocked out. I might break my nose. I might get a concussion. Like he knows that and he admits it. Like he's never holding in. He's like, nah, I'm going to fuck him up. Like, no, he admits that. And that's actually really good. It's very good, especially for the mental and for the fight.
He's in a tremendous position, really, when you think about it from public eye, because he's in a place where if he wins, he's like a prodigy who David killed Goliath. He's amazing. And Thor had, 10 times the training and he beat him. If he loses, the narrative is so easy. So he was the smaller guy and had 5 weeks. There's absolutely, aside from the physical damage he will take, no one's going to write a bad narrative about it. He cannot walk away from this a loser. It's impossible because you could play it the situationally, however you want to play it. But you can't lose public view wise. It's the safest fight you could ever take other than the physical damage.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because you kind of think, I like the point that Loz was making earlier on where he said, this is kind of the fight where Thor's got to come out and he's got to make a statement. This is the first fight that it's been permitted to really go after a guy and for them to go after Thor. But because of the fact that in social media, everywhere you're reading these comments like, oh, Thor's going to kill him. How much pressure does that put on Thor, really? That he's got to chase this fight. He's got to try and get out there and force the result, because that's kind of what you'd tell a fighter not to do, right across the piece. If you were in a, you would never say to a guy, go, unless he's way down on points and it's the 11th, you know what I mean? He's got to go out there and get into it. But alternatively, you tell him to take his time and it's going to come. Don't chase the knockout, it'll come. Now, do you think Thor will feel in 6 rounds? It's not a lot of time. Do you think he's going to feel like he needs to get out there and try and put Devon's head into the 5th row?
Yeah.
Yeah, Zakaria.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. I think LOZ would be better because LOZ knows Thor. I don't know how. Like, I'm basing my knowledge off my 2 interactions with him and then videos that I've seen, because I can depict of how you are as an athlete, no matter what your field is and how you're structured. It's not that hard when you're an athlete and a coach, and it's easy to catch. So I see Thor, that's how he is. And hearing from Jody and seeing the arm wrestling match when screamed out, I'm going to suck your soul out or take his soul, like those. I know Thor kind of is always in his head about so many things. Then, yeah, but I feel
I
like
mean,
Rob,
I can think of situations where that can't be a bad line. If
Yeah,
Julie
no,
Larratt shouted, "I'm going to suck your soul out" at certain times, I'd be
of
like,
course.
"Okay."
like Rob,
Ideally, not when Devon was home.
yeah, of course.
You know
Like,
what I'm saying?
like
Man.
Rob said, once you're in the ring, you'll hear people, but then once you're fighting, you hear nothing. And if you're really good and you're a fighter, you'll pay attention to just your coach. Like you'll be good to that one voice. And then that's the only, everything else is you hear nothing. You just hear a voice and there's someone in front of you. And that's it. That's all you got. So
Loz, have you had a chance to sort of speak to Thor? And is he conscious of it? Is he conscious of the sort of whole background to this thing and the fact that people are expecting him to come in and run Devon over? And if so, do you feel like he's going to try and enact that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as we've all said, the pressure is on Thor to perform here. He's got to win this, and not just win it. He's got to win this convincingly to build on that momentum towards Eddie Hall. If he doesn't win this convincingly, you know what Eddie's like. Okay, you know Eddie very, very well.
Yep.
He will be ripping it out of Thor, constantly on a day-to-day basis. And also, if Thor loses this, I feel it takes something off that fight. Some people say it doesn't. I think it does. I think if Thor loses this, people are going to say Eddie's just going to kill him. And, whether he does or not, it's a blemish to his kind of his performance and what's going to happen building up towards that. So for me, Thor has to win, and convincingly. So he's going to feel that pressure. And he's trying to act confident. He's saying the right things that you'd expect him to say, but no one knows what's going through his head. And I think he must be feeling some pressure. I've been in that situation where Thor was 3 times Europe's strongest man, expected to annihilate everyone, and I've beaten him. And he does sometimes, just have that little weakness in the head. A certain bad event can affect him, which is what happened when I beat him. He made a mistake on an event, and it kind of, you saw that confidence drop. If something doesn't go right, like Zach said, Thor's talking about winning in the first round. Well, if Devon's still standing at the end of the first round, what's going to go through his head? Is he going to start thinking, oh, crap, I haven't done this. Now, I've got to put the pressure on, start making mistakes, start fatiguing, quicker than maybe he should. We don't know what's going through his head. He's not an experienced boxer. He's had a 1.5 years training. He's not had one professional fight yet. So let's, a couple of exhibition is no different to a glorified sparring round, behind closed doors. So he is still a scratch fighter that's never been in a proper fight. So I think for us to say he's got this experience is wrong. He's just got training experience, but we all know it's very different when you step on stage and there's another man the other side ready to go.
Yeah.
On that note, why is he considered such a heavy favorite that has to decimate this fight? Because he's bigger, or because he's trained longer?
I think probably things like, he's had the 1.5 years training. He's younger. I mean, what is he, 32? Devon's 46. He can extend his arms. He's probably got a slight reach advantage. I don't know for sure, but being I know Devon's got long arms, but he can't extend them. So, I guess just a little bit more experience of boxing, but there's no huge advantage there. These are 2 amateurs at best.
Yeah. I mean, if that was the case, you'd never see people come in and rocking seasoned professionals when they've only been 2-3 years in the game either. So you got to go with natural ability. Somebody could come in and cut that curve off with 2 years and smack up a guy who's been doing it for 10. I think a lot of people are still thinking that this is the mountain, Clegane going in and squishing heads, and it's not really the case in reality. Just because he's a bigger man, straightening your arms doesn't even have to be the game in reality. I mean, if that was the case, guys like Joe Frazier would have never scored a knockout, or Mike Tyson. You don't need a straight arm to throw a stiff uppercut.
Well, it's true. I think probably people would think if he is a good boxer, having that ability to keep someone at range is going to be an advantage. But whether Thor can actually do that is yet to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So we got Super chat just coming from Harold Larson. Thanks, mate, for your super chat. Much appreciated. He's put shout out to the TriStar lads for taking on the task, helping out our arm wrestling legend. Get his face caved in with a little more grace. So another overflowing display of unity and confidence there from one of the arm wrestlers. Thanks, mate. Much appreciated.
Neil,
I am it, fellas.
Can I ask you guys a question as arm wrestlers?
Absolutely.
How do you feel about potentially, you know, I guess one of the best arm wrestlers in the world having this break from arm wrestling and going into a different sport? Would you rather see him arm wrestling, or are you quite excited about this opportunity?
So, Rob, do you want to take
go
that
first, Rob?
Yeah, I'll go. I mean, I think it's great for Devon. It's Devon's like one of those professional athletes we see. I made a joke on one of the podcasts that in 6 months he might be a fucking matador fighting a bull somewhere if the right opportunity comes his way. You know, I think it's an opportunistic thing, and when things come your way, certain people sees that. You know, I don't think he saw this as a boxing match. If him and Thor were just online jarring at each other and it was a freebie match, do I think Devon would be boxing? No. I don't know what the prize purse is, but I think he saw a hell of an opportunity. So, I mean, for that, that's great for Devon. I don't necessarily tell other grown men what they should be investing their time and energies in. I think he's a great arm wrestler, and arm wrestling is going to be there for him when he decides to come back, if he does. But this was an opportunity that was probably bigger than arm wrestling was bringing him.
I think that's fair.
Ryan?
No, I think that this is amazing. I think, first of all, Devon was on a break anyway. He was taking some time away from the sport of arm wrestling. A guy in Devon's position can afford to do that. And I don't think it takes anything away from the sport of arm wrestling, because I feel like Devon wouldn't have been back until sometime in 2022, because the position he's in, actually, there are only a small handful of matches out there for him right now that anyone would really be interested in watching. And of course, that's the eventual showdown with Levon that would come at some point in the future, is probably the main one for me. But until then, I'm glad that Devon found something to occupy his time and actually get him in good shape in other aspects. Pretty excited that he was able to do this and bring the attention that comes with it to the sport, and crosses over and crosses different boundaries, brings other fans in. So I'm happy for him to do it. And I really hope that he does well. And yeah, like Rob said, who knows? He can do whatever he wants, and it's gonna.
I think regardless of winning or losing, he's probably gonna have enjoyed having the break from arm wrestling and be keen to get back to it.
Yes. Besides, we get to watch something besides him cooking pancakes in the morning. And, you know, it's actually good content.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I cannot wish Devon any more success. Obviously, as people know, he's been one of my closest friends and a guy that I've championed for a lot of years. He was the signature arm wrestler alongside MT and Jeff Hale and Frodo Hogeland in the Super Series of Arm Wars. I launched his career as a professional, so he's always had a special place in my heart and mind. He's considered one of my closest friends in the game. And one of the things that I would have to say about Devon is, and I think Zakaria made the point earlier on about this, he's not a normal character. He's a unique individual. He's an extraordinarily unique individual, and he's extremely endearing. He has a level of comfort within his own skin, which is very refreshing. He's got a lot of qualities that are very everyman, very approachable guy. He's always got a lot of time for people, and he's almost the guy that is the gamer. He's that man's man, and yet he's very approachable to anyone and everyone.
You see that around the hotel. He is literally, willing to chat to anyone, really respectful and friendly, to no matter what the sport is, no matter what level these people are at. He is a genuinely decent bloke, which has been great to see.
Yeah, he's a supremely approachable individual. And the fact that he's sort of taken on the mantle recently because of his presence on social media and so on, he's become a real ambassador and a recognized face and persona within I'm for the sport of arm wrestling. And there's not many people who could do it better, if I'm perfectly honest, you know. So the fact that he's getting these opportunities, has this opportunity, the manner in which Devon goes into things like this that Zakaria referred to before makes him coachable, makes him someone that I think will garner respect from whatever field he goes into, because he does embrace it so fully and he does appreciate the nuances so fully. I think it's absolutely perfect that he gets this shot. And to echo what Rob said, I don't think the man can lose. You know, he's in a no-win situation. If he goes in then gets leathered, you know, so what? As long as the guy doesn't get hurt, absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to acknowledge as well, we've been joined on the call, ladies and gents, by Bogdan Stoica, Romanian national champion. Mate, how are you doing? A little bit later than anticipated. But that signals we're going to switch themes a little bit. I'm conscious of the fact that we've kept the guys who were out in Dubai on for a long period of time, about half an hour longer than we agreed upon, so that one of them's a professional fighter and could beat the living piss out of me. So hopefully I never actually meet Zach in person, because I owe him half an hour. And the other one's a big mother fluffer with a beard. You wouldn't want on the top bunk of your bed in prison. So, and I will be seeing him in a couple of weeks, regardless. So unless we've both got £1,000 on our back, though, I think I can outrun the bastard. So not too bad. I just want to say, Loz, Zakaria, mate, pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for giving up your time. I know it's past midnight over there. Loz, you got the show tomorrow, mate. I want to wish you all the very best with that. As I said earlier, guys, if you're not subscribed to Laurence's channel, get over Big Loz Official. That's where you're going to get your strongman content better than anybody else in the game. Get over there and give this man some love. Zakaria, you on social media, mate? Yeah.
I got a YouTube channel and an Instagram page.
Ping me that over, mint, so I can put it in the description.
I'll send it to you.
And ladies and gents, Zakaria BenBouchta, it's been fabulous to have this man on the phone and just telling us about the reality behind the myth and legend in what Devon's going into. Thank you very much for joining us, guys, and giving up your time. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
Take care, guys. Nice chatting.
Cheers. See you, Neil. Take care, mate.
See you later, buddy.
See you guys.
So, change of pace for those in the chat. We are talking Arm Wars. And we got 4 of the guys that are in the Arm Wars reality check. And it's coming at a pace now. And I want to start by just knocking over these super chats before I lose them. And then we're going to move on and cover these guys' matches and get a little bit of insight on that mother fluffer. So let's have a look who we got on the super chats real quick, because I was away from that trying to sort out Bogdan and get him in. I think he'd been having a few technicals.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we got Carl Graneth. Where's Devon? He's in, mate. Devon will be well tucked in at this period of time, getting some rest in. He's over in Dubai, getting ready for the fight. My good man, Matt Tickle My Limits Larratt's just come in with a super chat. Mate, thank you very much. Good to see you. What's up, Neil? My guy and RVJ, the American Psycho. You're the man, RVJ. Big fan of yours there from Matt Tickle.
Thank you, buddy.
Shredder 11977. What kind of power does Devon actually have on his inside shots, in Zakaria's opinion? Oh, mate, we've just dropped him off. But I will find that out for you and message you back on it, mate, to be perfectly honest, because I asked the same question. I think that he feels like Devon has got power in certain areas, but he needs more snap in some of his shots. And he gave us an insight into where he felt Devon needs to work. And it's all about trying to work the body and bring down the head, put some level of fatigue and level of panic into Thor. So, guys, let's move it forward onto the Arm War Super Series. And Bogdan, welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you. Welcome.
Now, I'm going to start with you. No problem, mate. No problem. I want to start with you because State Kings, okay, it's up. The bets are flying on, or the stakes are flying on. And if you look at RBJ, getting some love on there, although he's outweighed at the moment in the staking by the Eastern European beasties. Ryan, you're sold out on one arm, and your opponent is sold out on the other. But Bogdan, you're flying under the radar, mate. You're being underrated. Everybody,
right, man. I always been like that. It happens to me every single time.
It's funny though, because joking aside, you're not without pedigree. I mean, you've got wins both arms on a man that beat Frode Hoglan, both arms.
Yeah,
And this is
Tamas.
yeah, Tamas. Now, how does that make you feel, mate? I mean, do you feel like you're in the best place in the world? What's your opinion of it?
I've been training for the last 4 years. I've been arm wrestling for 10, but haven't paid too much interest, to be honest. So the last 4, I said, okay, let's go balls to the wall and see what happens. So yeah, I could see improvement. The last 4 years, I could really see improvement. So right now, I think I'm in the best shape I've ever been. The only problem, as I told you, I have a bit of tendonitis in my shoulders. But if I get over that, everybody's in trouble.
And when you look at Frode Hogland, what's your level of confidence coming into this in terms of your style versus his style as an arm wrestler generally? Do you feel like he's a good match for you? Do you feel like he's a challenging match for you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think something's gonna break. I don't know if it's gonna be me or him, because I know our styles, well, we do a lot of, I mean, we're not specific to one style. So we're going to chase each other in a whole different range of techniques. So I'm thinking we're going to clash somewhere in the middle and something's going to break. Hope it's not me.
And a lot of people have asked, have sent me messages and fired things through on the chat about you, because you're one of these guys that's flown under the radar a little bit. But they've asked me about, you know, what's your sort of ace card? Where do you feel like you're strongest? And you're known, the people that do know you, Tom Holland and the guys who've got a lot of familiarity through training and so on, the guys in Romania, would describe you as a very, very well-rounded arm wrestler. You're a guy that's got a lot of ability and a lot of speed, a lot of pace. If you had to sort of point to an area of your game that you think is the strongest, what would it be, mate?
It's inside. I would say for 10 for now, for 8 years, it was top roll, definitely top roll. Last 2 years, I would say inside, definitely a lot more horsepower than outside. I'll use all of them, but it's my go-to. I'll go inside when I feel comfortable. I'll go inside 9 out of 10 times.
Very, very interesting. And that's going to make a fascinating match, because we got a guy who everybody knows will tuck into the hook, the press, wherever he can get hold of you.
Let's see if he can get that, because I want to see how good his wrist is.
Yeah, you're looking for the light up effect early. Should be an interesting.
Look, I'll be honest with you. If I get a few wins, then I'll test them everywhere. But I just need to see how it works.
Yeah, it's one of the most underrated matches, in my opinion, on the card. And we're going to go to the next monstrous match on there. It's rare, okay, that in any Arm Wars event, I'm super buzzing for a particular match. And I got to say, Rob Vigeant Jr., Sasha Andreev is a match that I've wanted to run for. How long have we been talking about this, Rob? It's got to be 6-7 years. It is
been some time now. It's been at least a handful of years, I would imagine. I mean, he's been a big somebody in the sport for quite a while now, and so it's been for a bit.
Now, you've been on a bit of a roller coaster, mate, because obviously, just to give people a bit of a background on what happened here, we had the match lined up, we had it penned in, it was good to go, we were set. Eventualities with COVID-19, requirement for a vaccine or you don't get into the country. You got your vaccine, you were ready to go. We couldn't get a situation where Sasha could get access to the vaccine because of his age and the rollout conditions in Bulgaria. And so the match was actually called off. Sasha, didn't want to call it off, but he said, look, can't get access to a vaccine. How am I going to go about this? And I said, well, unfortunately, mate, that's it. It's done and dusted. Obviously, you would have gutted by that, mate, but you went, I won't say you fell off the wagon, but you certainly said, okay, party time, you were off the training front. And that was for a period of about 7-8 weeks. You backed off.
Yeah, a couple months. I mean, and it's not just about the party wagon. It's about it here. We've got to carve out time for training, getting the training groups and stuff like that. And when I have summer vacation with the kids and I'm living at a resort and I can be separating myself and going for long drives to training, and I can be going to the gym and doing all that bullshit when I really don't have a target to dial in on. Well, it's easy to put it on the back burner and say, well, why not do that stuff when I have all the free time and the kids are back in school and we don't have the summer ahead of us? Like, why am I going to take the hours away and be selfish? Now is not the time to be selfish because I got nothing to hone in on. And then it popped up that this was entirely plausible with, you know, only about 4 weeks, 5 weeks of go time. So it's kind of express training. But, you know, people say, oh, well, you could have. Yeah, I could do a lot of shit. But in my world, it doesn't work that way. I work on a priority list. And some days arm wrestling's last place. Other days it's first place. That's the way it is as a hobbyist.
Now, one thing that I was really pleased about was a lot of people had sort of levied the accusation at you. And I mean this with the greatest of respect, Rob. This is just true. A lot of people had said to me, Rob don't really want it. He doesn't want to come over. He doesn't want to. Because you've pulled in Arm Wars before. You pulled in the high states. You pulled in Vegas when we were in the US. But you hadn't traveled and pulled outside of the US. And a lot of people, I genuinely believe, felt that you were actively ducking or less interested in pulling the top class Eastern European lads. And one thing that I was very conscious of was that had that been the case, you had every opportunity to say, you know what, Neil, it's not going to work. Forget it. And yet that wasn't your approach in this instance. You actively said, if it's back on, I'm in, let's go. And you said, you talked about how much you wanted this match. Now, knowing that Sasho was training as hard as he has been for the World Championships, which we now know is cancelled, has your confidence changed? Has your desire changed? How do you sort of feel? Because you are a guy that's always been tuned into that confidence a bit, mate. You're up, you're down. Where's your head at now?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll touch on what you said about people saying that I didn't want it. That's the world of the internet. These are the same people that say I'm picking and choosing my matches, when really I was competing for Wall, and whoever they told me to pull, I pulled. And then I don't know where these fucking Martians have been living the past year and a half, but COVID had the world shut down for like a year and a half. So prior to Levon pulling Dave Chafee, when was his last match? Oh, like 2 years ago. How about Vitali? Do we shit on him because I haven't seen him pull in 2 years? So all these other European giants, when the fuck's the last time they pulled? It's been years, right? So all these dumbbells saying I'm ducking people. Guys, newsflash, there's this big raving fucking thing called COVID. It shut things down for like a year and a half, which is why people are inactive. So I'm really taking whatever's coming my way that makes sense. And I'm not ducking anyone from Europe. The other newsflash, I could pay thousands of dollars to go to the Worlds, or I could be treated like a fucking king and go to like Atlanta for the Wall. And the only people that really hate on Wall are the people who aren't invited to Wall. The people who are in Wall are sitting back with their umbrella drinks and in a lounge chair, chilling, big dicking, they're loving life. But if you're not involved, you hate Wall because you're like, you're a bunch of prima donnas. So on the other part of that, my confidence isn't rocked because I know and I assume that this kid's a machine. He's in a culture, his friends, the people that are around him. He's a cyborg. He's surrounded by, he's a stone's throw away from multiple world champions. I'm not going to out-train him. I'm not going to out-resource him. I just got to go there and be a different human being than he's used to dealing with. And it's not going to be because of some crazy training regime. This is express training. I just got to bring something that he thinks he's met before, but I don't think he has.
No, we got a super chat from Ryan Holiday, and he's put RVJ COVID battle. Love that you'll live in other countries. Thoughts on US government imposing so much power? Mandates needed. Overboard or next? Well, we're not going to go down the political rabbit hole for sure, Ryan, but thank you for your super chat, mate. Obviously, it's a polarizing topic. The only thing that we're focused on is what we need to do and what we are able to do to try and get the athletes into the country to arm wrestle. And let me tell you now, brother, there has been some challenges. There's no doubt about that. Hard.
As far as that bullshit goes, I'm like one step away. If I was pumping my own water and living on like a solar grid, I almost don't exist to the government. So whatever.
Now, it's fair to say that there's been some ups and downs in all of these matches. I think that it had been possible to avoid that. Now, let's go to to mighty Ryan Espey, the Manitoba Mastiff. Mate, if anybody had got the desire to pull in Armwrestling reality check pinned to their chest, you are that dude. I'm gonna, that's the facts. There's nobody being keener than Ryan Espey. And I loved the fact that I got a call from Ryan the other day, bearing in mind that he's pulling a very powerful individual in Alex Cadetra. And I want to get Bogdan's thoughts and I want to get Rob's thoughts on that in just a moment, right? But I get a call from Ryan and he says, dude, let me tell you this. If Alex Cadetra beats me, he's mega. Because god damn, I am ready. And I absolutely loved the fact that you called me to say that, mate. That was ace. So I take it training is going well. Has been going well.
That is a true story. I did my final practice before Arm Wars last night, and the guys that I've been training with for 3 years said, we have never felt you this strong, ever. So I'm coming in there as a bit of a different guy than you've probably seen in the past, but it's also the huge unknown because haven't touched a lot of hands in the last 2 years, but I've made the absolute best of it and coming in there as ready as I can possibly be because I took no time off. COVID did not impact my training. It did impact my practicing a little bit, but that's it. I was the first guy in line when the vaccine came up because I knew I would need it at some point to travel and compete, and was ready to go. Was ready to go. Now, and when you called me up and said, come on over, I said, absolutely.
You really did, mate. You were right in their early doors. Now, at the time, you were originally slated to pull in a 4-man battleground, and you had chance show in round 1.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, water under the bridge. We are where we are, and you pull in Alex Cadetra, who it's been an unusual scenario because most of the time, 90% of the time, when we see you pull in any tournament, you're the bigger guy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I might be the heavier guy in this one, but I'm not the bigger guy.
What is your weight, mate? Where are you at right now?
375.
Holy shit. 375. Wow. Yeah, large. You may be the heavier guy. I don't actually know what Alex is, but the interesting one here is that he's probably from a frame perspective. I think Alex is the bigger man, isn't he?
I believe so. I think he's about 4 inches taller than I am.
How much experience have you had pulling guys that big?
The only guys that I've pulled that are close to that height are Matt Mask and Devon Larrett.
Now, you've seen Alex. You were in Moldova. He was in Moldova, I believe, as well.
We were in Moldova at different times. He was in Moldova 1, and I was in the second one.
Okay.
I have studied him, though, and there's a lot of video out there of Alex beating some really good guys.
Yeah.
And then you got Sabin, who's running around saying he's the next guy to beat Levon. Meanwhile, I'm finding out videos of Alex beating him.
So I just had a note here, pick it up on that, and I'm going to get to all the super chats. There's another one actually before this, guys, and I'll come back to that in 1 second. But first of all, so DCS Beamer, hold on to that thought, mate. I'll be right onto your super chat in a minute. But Dennis Smith has come on and said, Neil, can you please take one moment to educate some newer fans or fly-by-night fans as to Ryan Espey's pedigree? I'm so tired of people underrating him. Yeah, I will definitely do that. So Ryan is a multiple Canadian national champion. One of the most decorated heavyweight arm wrestlers, super heavyweight arm wrestlers out of Canada, period. We're talking about a man who is a multiple, possibly 5-time or more, correct me if I'm wrong, world champion, WAF world champion. This is a guy who has traveled extensively, 3-time world champion. And haven't you won the title both left and right, Ryan?
I have not. I've placed as high as silver with the right.
Silver with the right and 3 times winner with the left arm. Now, interestingly, very interestingly, you're pulling Alex Cadetra on right and on left arm. And at the moment, I think you're seen as the favorite on the left arm. He's seen as the favorite on the right arm. And I wanted to bring in Firstly, Bogdan Stoica. You've seen both men arm wrestle a lot, mate. From what you've, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, dude, because obviously Ryan's right there. But from what you've seen, who's the favorite in this match and why?
As everybody's saying it out there, I think they're pretty much right. I would give the left hand to Ryan because I know his left is ridiculous, always has been. I'm not sure how his right is right now. Maybe he has improved with it because a lot of people haven't been training. Well, a lot of people have been training, but we haven't seen a lot of them in the last 3 years. So we know Alex, as we've seen in top 8, his right arm has improved a lot. Like even from the first stages to the last, you could see improvement at every stage. So I would be in consent with everybody. I think Ryan can take left. I don't think he would have trouble on the left, but right, and I would say 50-50 on the right.
50-50. How is you? Where do you see it on the right, Ryan?
Oh, I think, well, on paper, he would be the favorite, right? But I think that, I think it's going to be a surprise for him on the right arm.
Very interesting. So let's knock over a couple of super chats real quick, and then I want to go to RVJ on that same topic. So Race Cat, thanks for your super chat, brother. Contribution of cat hairs to Devon's nice soup for next time. Cheers, mate. Yeah, he did go in there in the scrubs, didn't he? But, you know, that's how he rolls. What am I going to do? DCS Beamer, thanks for your super chat. And he's put a super chat over for you, RVJ. But didn't RVJ pick up Monster Michael Todd with an arm wrestling table ready to go? RVJ's hobby is another man's full-time training. The accurate statement.
Yeah, there you go. We're on 365. I don't need to ride the peaks and the valleys. That's really what my secret sauce is. A lot of these guys get fucked up if they don't have ample notice because their nutrition can't be on point. You see, I always say I'm strong 365. That's why I can take a world-class match 5 weeks out, because I don't gotta, you know, get too on point.
So Harold Larson's just come pinging in with a super chat. You're going to love this one, Rob. He's put, RVJ, whose hand is most intimidating one to grip up with? Also, we Europeans need some humble pie. Bring Sasha and the boys back to earth. Iron Dick.
Most intimidating hand to grab up with? It's hard to say because I grabbed people at different points in my career. I think across the board, the strongest, most dominating hand most top guys have felt was John's. And I feel like John and I had a lot of similar attributes as far as strength in the hand. But I got the very refined, still in his prime era him while I was new. Mm-hmm. So he was able to manipulate a lot of my inexperience. So he felt the most intimidating. Whereas when I pulled him later, when I got better, it wasn't as bad. I kind of won the hand game with him. But nobody else I really felt dominating hand control or I've grabbed big hands like a Sean Latimer hand, but it didn't feel strong to me. You know what I mean? And there is a difference with hand size and hand control and strength. But I mean, the guy that sticks out to me is John, and I think that will be a lot of people that will say that.
Yeah, John's hand was absolutely, it just shut out the light. It was incredible. The use of his hand. It wasn't just I mean, people talk about that he wasn't a gifted guy in terms of size and physicality, but he certainly was. His hand,
yeah, I mean, that's just silly. Those are the same people who call Devon Larratt a little guy or Ron Bath a little guy. I'm like, the guy's like 6'3", 240. Where on earth is that a little guy? Like, where are you guys coming from? John is still what, 6'2", 2 1/4. He's the size of some linebackers that get first round drafted. I mean, where
it's the structure of the man. The man's structure is. I mean, I always remember I had that discussion with Ryan, and I'm not going to beat up on Ryan. You know, that's not the aim of this. But I remember I said to Ryan, he was talking about, well, my arm length is exactly the same as John Brezink. My hand size, same as John Brezink. A lot of other elements there, same as John Brezink. And I said, well, gripping up with John, that is not what I would have said at all.
Who said that?
Ryan. Ryan.
Ryan Jesus! Was on this guy's got himself on a sliding scale of size with people. He is not the same skeleton as John Brezink. He's out of his fucking mind. That Please don't do that to this conversation and bring that shit into it. That guy by this time next year is going to say he's got the same bone structure as Cliff fucking Dean. Oh my God. That is not even those guys don't even have close to the same attributes. They're not even the same species.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Jesus.
What can I tell you? I mean, we had a Grand National winner over here called Party Politics about probably four or 5 years ago. And at one point, from a certain angle, in the right lighting, I had the same silhouette. But we'll leave that. Anyway, so let's get back onto topic and not get you too wound up over the Ryan Bowen situation and structure and frame. Otherwise, he'd probably be dialing in a minute. So
yeah, telling me about how his wrist is 12 inches now.
So let's go into the Alex Kadetcha versus Ryan Espey match, mate. And what are your opinions of this? You're very familiar with Ryan. You're obviously a student of the game and you watch a lot of arm wrestling. You've seen a lot of Alex's matches. How do you see that going down?
I'm gonna go with Bogdan. I think left should be Ryan's game, just because I think he's better. And right is going to be too tough to call. We don't know how these years off served anybody, because honestly, when was top 8 with Kadetcha? Was that 2 years ago?
Jesus, you know, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah. So see, he falls from the same, umbrella that I'm under of inactivity because of that weird thing called COVID. But we don't know, he's a big guy. He's a strong guy. The other thing is the guys he was arm wrestling, in the top 8, half of that field were inflated like 90-kilogram guys, really. So he's not pulling people that are, true heavyweights that maybe their bones are a little bigger. If I was to bet, I'd say as of, this point in time, Kadetcha looks like his top game is really strong and solid. And I don't know what Ryan's game plan and how strong his hand and wrist is to deal with that. Am I going to be seeing another Levon Dave match where the power might be there, but he might not be able to access it? So it's going to be, what's the game plan to put the brakes on it? Is Ryan feeling incredibly strong in the hook and that's his game plan, or is he going to try to neutralize? I don't know. Right now, and of course, because he's from Europe, and we all know that North America's best are like the water boys to Europe. So got to give the nod to Kadetcha because it's just strictly because he's from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
We're the last hope, Rob. We're the last hope.
No, that's just being a dick. But really, there's not enough data. I think it is going to be dependent on. There's so many unknown factors with these two guys. I mean, everyone's been shut down in 2 years. New superstars can rise, or old superstars can be crumbled and thrown to the wayside. You don't really know.
Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? Who most pressure's on? There's a lot of pressure on a lot of people here. We're talking to Bogdan a moment ago about it. Talking a good arm wrestler, CJ Twine just came with a super chat. That's a puller right there in the chat, mate. Hope you're well. Hope your family's well, and thank you for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. Likewise for 98% arm wrestling. Thank you for your super chat, mate. No question there. Just supporting the channel, and it is very much appreciated. Thank you very much, guys. Now, let's go back to what we were saying earlier on. You're under no pressure, Bogdan, because everybody sees Frode Hoagland as the favourite. He's sold out. People don't think you've got a cat in hell's chance here. Maybe because of the fact that he's been the guy that's been experienced in the Arm War series. He's a 6-round specialist. He's had notoriety in the WAL. And yet, if you look at your record on paper, it is certainly comparable. And on paper, this is a hell of a match. And a lot of people who know you are sort of on the inside track would see you as favourite, and you obviously see yourself as favourite. You've just come off the Romanian national champions, and you had great success there, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, I had some great matches. Oncescu came back. He beat me on
Oncescu, yeah.
Yeah. He beat me on the right, but I managed to beat him on the left. So that was a personal best for me right there.
Yeah, I mean,
he had a good run for a few years. He had a real good run.
Yeah. I don't know why he came back to the seniors, because last few years he just competed in the Masters over 40, but apparently he wants to have a crack again of the young guys.
Fair enough. And he's obviously a bit of a freak himself. He's a very, very strong guy, real athlete.
He's very technical. You know him better than anybody, Neil. He can play anywhere.
Yeah, he's rock strong. He had massive potential. He was always one of my favorite arm wrestlers. Very, very strong guy. SG Records here, just winding up the situation. Thanks for your super chat, mate. RVJ versus Natty Bowen. Ryan gonna beat him easy, and then pisses himself laughing. 98% arm wrestling with another super chat, mate. Thanks very much. He's backing us big time. Appreciate that, brother. Now let's get RVJ in, the voice of reason. Come in, mate. How much do you know about Bogdan? Have you seen him pull a lot? And if so, can you give us any feedback on the Frodo Hoagland match? This could answer quite a bit.
No, because honestly, I think a lot of us fall into this category with what social media does. You know, the masses can get hypnotized if they're fed enough shit and told it's a ham sandwich. There is going to be that fraction of people, and it's going to be a big percentage of it. They're going to start to believe that they're ham sandwiches, and then there's going to be a percentage of those guys. They're going to start to say it's the best ham sandwich they ever had. So it's like people are so easily to direct that you could be the best guy in the world, but if you're an unknown entity and you're not on social media, and you're not on YouTube, and you're not the guy out there, it's going to be hard for people to know you. So of course, when you get somebody that's well known pulling a certified freak, they all think you're a nobody. Like, who's this nobody about to get killed? You could be the favorite, but if you're not known through social media platforms, all they know is the other guy, and they think you're just like, you put this match together. You pulled some homeless guy out of the fucking gutter and said, hey, do you want to pull one of our Arm Wars superstars? As if you pulled somebody with no credentials. You know, and that's social media. If you're he who's most well-known and can sell their case the most gets the most love, really.
And it's interesting. I was talking to some of the guys the other day from the UK scene, and they were saying, well, I'll tell you what it is, with the amount of love that Frodo's getting in this match and the reality of the stats behind the match and how close this one is, we will definitely be going around the crowd at the Arnold's, seeing if anybody wants a straight up cash bet on this thing, because they think that it's a very, very, they're going to get good odds. They think it's a very, very strong bet to take Bogdan in this one. And a lot of, you know, talking to the lads
what just happened with
arm wrestling, they said the same.
Right.
It felt like you're the favorite by some margin, Bogdan.
Really?
Yes.
See, that's the thing is I don't have enough exposure with those videos, and I'm not dumb enough to be like make a bet just because I saw Froda. You got to understand, in this, you know, social media driven world, what Froda just did to another guy who has a big YouTube following. People think if you're somebody, you have a YouTube following or something. And what he just did with Coach Ray, people think now, like, people are almost like coining Froda as unpinnable. They're actually saying, like, he can't be beat. If he wins one more match, Froda's going to get a shot with Levine. It's over.
Now, the interesting thing is, Froda is mega. He's an exceptional puller, and particularly in a super match. But
I love Froda, man. I love to watch him.
He's mega. He's one of my favorite arm wrestlers of all time. First man on the team sheet for Arm Wars every time. But I just think that this match is being overlooked in terms of the closeness of the match, in terms of the competitiveness of the match. From what I've seen on State Kings, it was the one match that when I went on there, I thought, no way. How are people not seeing this? And it's, as Rob, I've got to agree with what Rob just said. People just don't have enough knowledge of you.
Yeah, I know.
But after this, they will. After this, they will.
Look, Froda's been on Arm Wars for how many years? How much exposure did he get? How many guys did he beat? And it's nice to watch him, man. I'll be honest. I think I watched his videos 10 times over when I was just going through a few years back. He's one of those guys. He's really polarizing. When he gets into that position, gets that cheeky smile on, he's like, "Come on, man." I mean, it's hard not to root for the guy.
It is. He's a fantastic.
I love it. I love being an underdog.
Yeah, it's the most underrated match on the card by a mile, in my opinion. And I honestly, toss of a coin, and I can't wait for it to go down. I can see lanes for both of you guys to win, and I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be an absolute barnstormer on both arms. Yeah. I think it's an epic match. And me both. I really do. So, Fat Legless Bird in the super chat. Anyone know Travis's deal at the moment? He's actually serious or just dogging around again? Love RVJ's opinions as always. Red Rocket Super Pig. Lovely darts.
Super pig.
Mate, the pig. I'll tell you what, I missed the pig.
No, my missus didn't miss it. It was the first thing she saw.
The pig is
Mine
awesome.
too. I think the comment was, why is nobody talking about Rob's unicorn pig?
The unicorn pig is an essential element in all Rob Vigeant Real Talk videos.
Come on, it brings a layer of happiness.
It does, and it brings a layer of quality and sound because you're back on that proper laptop when you're there. When I see the pig, I know it's pro. I'm like, oh, we're good here. No problem. Absolutely set. CJ Twine's come in. RBJ, how's your training camp going so far, and how confident are you?
It's going good. On one of the videos I loaded earlier on YouTube, I talked about, it's the first time I really started looking at nutrition and diet, because once the match is on, you realize that you've got to cut some weight, and I want to be where I want to be physically with the time I've been given. And I've been hitting the gym and doing cardio and pulling when I can. I'm going away to Todd Hutchings in a couple days, and basically doing as much as I can, listening to my body. So for the time frame I have, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty confident. It's just, you got to be leery not to be too confident when you're training with guys that aren't on that level, because everything you do feels crisp. I think I'll be able to get a lot of data going to train with Todd. I don't want to go have a record measuring contest on who can pin who. I really want to use him as a tool to give me the lanes and power that I can expect from Sasho, because I think he's the guy that can deliver those levels of power, and he's actually grabbed him. So I got to be careful to just not, I don't want to have an ego thing there. I don't care about the cameras and people filming it. I want to go there and use him. But overall, I feel pretty good. As good as can be expected given the overall circumstances.
Sure. Now,
I know I can lay him up. I know I can throw the guy for a layup. He's a hammer, but I've seen the people that have given him trouble, and I think I'm all of that.
So the other day I'm on the phone to Jordan Sonev, okay? And Jordan says to me, oh, training the other day with Sasho, and let me tell you, he is in mega form. He's really strong. Obviously had his head down, grinding very, very hard for the World Championships, which was unfortunately cancelled. But
Romanian.
It's back on now, isn't it? But it was on in Georgia, and the dates were, I think, now actually. Yeah. Pretty sure that they would have been on now.
I think
so prior to that,
December.
Yeah, so they've moved back. They've moved back now to the back end of November, early December. He'd been working hard to go over to Georgia for the Worlds, which have just been pulled. So he was in stellar form. And Jordan Sonev said to me, yeah, he's rock strong at the moment. So he said, I can't see any way in which Rob Vigeant wins this on the right arm. It's going to be a battle, but I can't see him winning it. And I think on the left arm, easy for Sasho. So do you feel like that sort of level of confidence in Eastern European takes away some of your pressure, mate? Do you feel like you're going in and you can be a little bit more puff your chest out and just chase this thing?
Yeah, that's kind of a place I got to. We talked about it. It's not just kind of like letting my guard down, being like, I'm the underdog, like go lose and have some fun with it. No, but I think when you go in there paralyzed by the idea of losing, because in the world of social media, everybody wants to be the I told you so and the implications and what's it mean, and see, you're just a bum that was hiding in North America. Here's the newsflash, guys. If I go there and Sasho hammers me, he hammers all your best guys too. It's like people shitting on Dave Chafee for losing to Levon and saying, see, and another American that fell to Levon. Well, point to me the European that Levon hasn't slayed either. So it's not an implication on the country. It just happens to be one exceptional athlete that's slaying all the Europeans, all the Russians, all the Kazakhstani guys, and Dave Chafee. But it's not like, when you get paralyzed by that idea that, like, if you get hammered, well, I've seen Sasho hammer Prudnik. I've seen him hammer one of the Zolowevs. I've seen him hammer, Ungarbayev. I've seen him hammer all these guys. So losing, if you get past the idea of losing, I can go in there and be a little more open and like gamey. If you're too scared to lose, you kind of cripple yourself. You're playing safe. You're playing scared. And I'm okay with it because I know the parameters of how this match came about. And if I take a Walton, I go home, I do my due diligence. It gives me a motivator, and I come back to you in 3 to 6 months and say, Neil, I want on the next Arm Wars card. Isn't that possible? But I do think this is all coming from guys who are showing you their limitations. That's Jordan or Jordan telling you what he can't do and thinking because he can't do it, I can't do it. These guys have never grabbed me in their life, and they're saying what their limitations are. They don't know what mine are. They never even stood in a room with me.
Extremely good point, mate. And just to let people know, please don't send any more super chats. We're going to drop off here in about 5 minutes. We've been on over 2 hours, so I'm conscious to let the guys go. But another one's just come through from Ryan Holiday, and he's put, RVJ, you hit home talking about the alcohol, waking up tired and just saying it's enough. I love my craft beer a bit too much. Have you cut 100% or just reduced it?
I think I need some sanity, and I'm always going to be me. So, the other night I went out for my father-in-law's birthday. I had like 3 glasses of wine, which for some people, that's like holy hell. For me, that's like not even getting the whistle wet. So for a person that was up at camp, happy hour and every day, cutting down to pretty much nothing for extended time frames has been really easy for me to pick up the gym and really cut the weight and lean out. I see that I'm able to get into a really good shape really fast. But no, I mean, I'm going to be that guy that's going to have the beers and stuff, but it's just going to be right now I'm athlete driven and goal driven, and I'll pick and choose. I'll celebrate after the win or after the event, but I'm not going to dupe myself at this point in time. I'm not going to. I've created enough landmines for myself in the past 20 years, but I'm kind of done with that shit right now. I'm going to be athlete driven for these couple of weeks, and then I'll have my fun. But yeah, I'd say I cut out 98%, and I give myself the treat so I can feel like a human and not a robot.
Tremendous. And talking of 98%, 98% arm wrestling with a super chat, mate. Thanks for the support there. He's put, Rob, the whole 98% is behind you. Neil, love the content. Off topic, Tori Dupuis is, and an assumptive comment there that you can read yourselves in the chat. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate your support of the channel. Thanks, guys. Ladies and gents, we've kept these fellas on the phone for a long period of time. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody in the chat. 470 people still in the chat. I'm astounded. It's been a real mixed bag tonight. We had talk about the fight. We've had talk about Arm Wars reality check. Remember, if you're not already subscribed to Rob Vigeant Jr.'s Arm Wrestling, RVJ Arm Wrestling, get over there, give this guy a sub, show him some love. If you are not already subscribed to Ryan Espey, please get over there. This guy has been slogging in this game for years. He's one of the best we've got. He's one of the nicest blokes that arm wrestling has to offer. This is a wonderful individual and a hell of an arm wrestler. Get over and show him some love. And I'll tell you what, get some stakes put on Bogdan Stoica. If you've got any sense, you will wake up and smell the coffee. Much better match than people might think. Don't let the guys from London Arm Wrestling take all the money. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time here on Supernatural Strength, please like, share, and subscribe. And guys, thank you very much for taking the time out and giving up your time to come on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Neil.
In a couple of weeks.
It's on, guys. Arnold Classic, 1st and 2nd of October. Check it out. Reality check is almost upon us. Till we see you next time. Take it easy, peeps.
See you there, boys. Have a nice evening.
Take it easy, guys.
Lovely darts.